Five pieces of traditional retirement advice that no longer work like they used to. Rising healthcare costs, the elimination of most private pensions, and our increasingly long lifespans have made the quest for retirement an arduous, taxing journey that leaves many people behind. Most studies show, as a result, retirement may be drastically delayed for some of us and a total pipe dream for others. There's not much, and perhaps more importantly, we need to abandon old beliefs about what retirement should be. The generous pension. If you hope to retire on time or at all, here's some outdated advice you can promptly ignore. Old advice: start taking distributions from Social Security as soon as you can. New advice: hold off on taking distributions. While you can begin taking Social Security distributions as early as 62, Tony Littleoff says it's not always the best idea. That's because Social Security benefits grow the longer you keep from taking them, until you reach age 70. The Americans for taking advantage of Social Security on your 66th birthday may work fine for your 60s when you need more spending money, but you could regret that move in your 70s, when your Social Security payments are less than they could be. Old advice: you can withdraw 4% of your retirement savings and make your savings last. New advice: be more flexible with your plan. Here's another oldie but goodie: the famed 4% rule. This retirement the problem? Interest rates were related video. Keep your retirement on track, provided by CNBC. Brandon Renfro, the assistant professor of finance at East Texas Baptist University, says that, while was founded on solid principles, retirees in this century need to also consider market conditions, increased life expectancies, and asset allocation. There's no perfect substitute for the 4% rule. Even the creator of One Alternative Is, which suggests retirees withdraw 6% of their savings at the beginning of the year to cover their living expenses but don't take any cost of living raises in subsequent years that would increase their annual withdrawal above 6%. There's no consensus among experts, though, and generally the most recommended strategy is to who knows you and your situation. Old advice: once you cover your living expenses with investment income, you can retire. New advice: expect to need more money than you think. Cover your living expenses with passive income and you can go ahead and retire, right? Wrong. Financial advisor Nora L. Hartquist from says simply covering your expenses isn't enough in today's world, and you should really stop and think about inflation, long-term care, spousal survivorship, and taxes. Hartquist says today's affluent strive to retire early without realizing they may need to cover their living expenses for 40 years or more, a span of time in which the entire world can change in ways you don't always expect. Old advice: invest a set percentage of your portfolio in stocks, no matter what. New advice: consider your risk capacity. Years ago, investors were told to invest a set percentage of their portfolio, usually 100 minus their age, into stocks and the rest in bonds. This means a sixth. Taylor Schultz, financial advisor and host of The, says this advice could do more harm than good in today's environment. People planning for retirement have to consider more than just their age when investing their money. In addition to risk, on the flip side, maybe. The bottom line: there's no one-size-fits-all strategy that works for everyone. Old advice: you will probably die young, so plan for retirement accordingly. New advice: your money needs to last. Finally, we're no longer in the 1800s. The updated its fig. In other words, retirement funds will need to last, especially if you hope to retire before the standard retirement age of 65. Ryan Inman, a San Diego, says life expectancy should play a huge role in retirement planning, investing decisions, the decision of when to take Social Security, and health care planning. 1.
Looking up, open the front pot.